This is the Horse Radio Network.
Hey, you're listening to Adulting with Horses, the best place to be if you can't be at the barn. We are your co-hosts and equine authors, Heather Wallace and Natalie Keller-Reinert. As crazy horse girls, we don't take ourselves too seriously in the saddle or out. We celebrate the things that make us different. Join us as we talk about horses and pop culture and get a little weird in a fun way. Thank you for being a little weird with us. You're good?
Yes. I'm good.
Today's going to be an interesting one.
It's going to be an interesting one. Well, so I did a promotion over Black Friday weekend, right, to sell paperbacks, but I'm selling them directly from the printer so that I didn't have to stock and ship, like hundreds of paperbacks, because that was
especially because there was that delay in shipping.
Yeah,
right, in
there's been delays and there's been errors, and so I set up with Lulu, which is a company that I think makes beautiful products. They just cost just a little more, but you get what you pay for. And so I set it up so that if somebody wanted to order 4 more paperbacks, I got a discount, and Lulu would ship them out. And then I would send book plates. And so I sat down this morning to write out my book plates and put them into Christmas cards and send them out. There were so many more than I realized, to the point where I ran out of book plates with 2 orders to go and had to put in an order for more to come so that I can print more and sign them and ship them tomorrow. So it took so much longer than I anticipated because there were a lot of sales, and they would be for like 8 books at a time.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, like full series. So thank you, everyone. That is amazing. And it was
But you were not prepared for the...
But I was clearly unprepared. But I'm usually in some sort of, emergency is where I really come into my own in an emergency, because I go, I had no idea that would happen. Let me fix that,
Yeah, my husband's the same way. He does really well under pressure. But for, what I did, because it was helping my shipping, I ended up buying a thermal printer. And rather than just print shipping labels, I have the thermal printer. And so now I can print stickers, I can print book plates, shipping labels, all of it. And it's immediate, and you don't lose ink.
Yeah, I looked at thermal printers. I don't want this to turn into the printing episode, but I did consider it for shipping labels, and I opted against it. Decided to go the other way of not shipping as much stuff. But the stickers and stuff does make a lot of sense. So, because, I love a good sticker.
You do love it. I haven't done stickers yet, and, but I bought a roll for the book plates.
Yeah.
And it's so fucking fast. It's so easy that I was like, wow, I can't believe it. And I ended up getting a sale. So it was pre-Black Friday that I ended up purchasing it. It was $100 off what it normally is. I was like, of course I will do that.
Yeah, people were saying, oh, this is the time to buy a thermal printer. These are the conversations publishers have.
Oh, I was going to say, is that really a conversation that came up
that
for
is
you?
An actual conversation I was a part of. Yeah. And I was into it. It was a great combo. But when I did the research, I decided that it was not the right time in my life, in my journey, to purchase a thermal printer. So
it's just not your journey.
Yeah, it's just I'm not at that guidepost. Yeah.
Speaking of it, I don't want to get ahead of myself, but I've been sick, so there's very few lights of my life. And a couple days ago, before I got sick, I ended up going to my first ever trivia night.
Oh,
yeah, and it was the Schitt's Creek trivia night.
Yeah, you got to go.
I got to go. Not only did I get to go, there were 18 teams. Guess whose team came in third place?
It must be yours, because you probably wouldn't have brought it up otherwise.
I am so proud. Place. They kept they announced from 18 back to 1, and they were every time they didn't say our team name, we were looking at each other that's weird, because we know we didn't get a lot of the answers, and we're sitting there and we're and they counting it back, and we get to third place, and I was like, fuck yeah! We won a prize. We won a record player.
What? That's
Yeah.
awesome. I don't know how you're going to share that, but yay.
Well, what do I need a record player for? So I let someone else have it.
Yeah, I play a record every night, but I'm, in the golden swinging years of my life, so I have time
Well,
to
maybe not swinging.
put on a record. Swinging more in a Frank Sinatra way
Fair.
than a Villages way.
Well, you're not far, so people
I
could
wish
be
I were
confused.
farther from the Villages. I wish, if only.
Oh my
That's
God.
pretty
Yeah,
great. What was the funniest question that you think you got right? Can you remember any of them?
You're asking for a lot coming back from being sick.
That's true. Did they ask you questions about like Moira's weird vocabulary words or?
No, it was
No.
really like intense. There were questions about characters that like were only showed up for 5 minutes in the entire series. There were
wow.
yeah, there were. My favorite part was when they said the who said this. It was like the quotes, and you had to attribute the character to the quote. So of course, that for me was just the easiest part.
That's so funny.
But I maybe out there was like a lot of questions, but I think the one that I was proud of remembering was the name of David's ex-boyfriend, Sebastian Rain, because
Oh yeah,
it's
Sebastian Rain. Yeah,
right, and we got full points for the first and last name. So
well, you had to say. I mean, you couldn't have remembered it any other way because he's like, stop saying Sebastian Rain.
So the weird things stick in my head apparently, but
that's great. It's so
but
fun.
it was fine. So I think I might be invited to another trivia night, but that's not even the coolest part of the night, or maybe this weirdest part. So my friend's partner works for the U.S. Postal Service, and so she brought 2 other Postal Service workers. So this guy comes in, he sits down next to me, and she goes, "Scott, you can't marry this woman. She's already married." And I was like, okay, awkward. That's really weird. It turns out he's my fucking mail carrier. Like, now it's even more awkward.
So the mail carrier is embroiled in some sort of throuple situation with
I guess like
marriage?
she was like teasing him about like, I don't know, being single, and she was like, "Oh, here's the new girl, but like, she's taken," kind of thing.
Oh,
so like,
I took it a little seriouser than it actually
no,
was.
No.
Okay, all right. I thought you like overheard some hot goss, and then it turned out that you knew too much.
No, it wasn't hot gossip, but what was weird is she was like, "Oh, she's on 29." I was like, "That's not my address." And she goes, No, the route." And I was like, "Oh." And then Postal Service speak, and then she's like, "Oh yeah, he's like, oh, I'm the floater for 29." I was like, "Oh, that's cool. What does that mean?" And he was like, "Well, I come and I do your route like once a week." And he's like, "I know exactly what house you are." I was like, "Oh, okay, cool." Like I was like, "What do I do now? Do I like wave? Do I like make sure I send like a card for the holidays with his name on it?" Like now it's weird because we're like drinking buddies.
Yeah. Okay. So living in a small town, I do run into this occasionally.
Okay.
I am on a first name basis with my postal clerks, whom that's where I came back from in a huge hurry, was talking to Todd at the post office, and I got to say hi to Lori, which was great. And I looked for Todd to find Lori because he couldn't find her. And he was like, "Can you see if she's in the vestibule?" And I'm like, "She's not there, man. I don't know." And then he's asking me about my horse romances. Is it from the POV of the horses? Todd, you ask me that every time. No, that's not my audience. Those books exist. That's great. Not what I write. And my UPS driver is amazing. He brought his daughter to the vet clinic where I did a book signing a couple weeks ago and bought a bunch of my books.
That's cool.
So we all know each other.
Yeah.
It's insane. And he was on that UPS Dogs Facebook page very recently. Have you ever seen that?
He really? Because one of my clients was on that page too.
That's amazing. Dude, we know the best people. So the wave, absolutely. Hey, how's it going? If you're out there, because you're drinking buddies and you have a social life together, I don't think that you owe him a professional Christmas card.
Okay. Well, it was only, to me, it was one night out.
Mm-hmm. Well, if you do it twice, let's say. Because he's your floater, too, so you don't know when he's going to get it.
Right.
So I think what you should do is address a Christmas card to your friendly local post office. Thanks for all your hard work, instead of to an individual person.
Yeah. Yeah, because
That's what I believe.
and now, like, so I found out my full-time guy is Greg. Greg's apparently very cool. Never met Greg.
Oh,
So I'm learning a lot more about my, local people that
this will be important when you live in Vermont.
Mm,
You will need all of these social niceties for
yes,
small town.
and I'm not unaware of small town vibes. My dad's from a town of 600 people.
Right.
And so, like, but that's different. Like, I'm in the burbs. I'm in a town of like 60,000 people right now. And so, you just don't get those small town niceties in the suburbs. And so it's like, I'm like stuck. I'm like, what do I do? Like, am I small town friendly, or am I suburban, like distant? Like, I don't know what I do.
Yeah.
So,
And your version of suburban is actually like much more populated than like even my version of suburban would be.
oh yeah, no, we're right outside New York City. So
Yeah,
like we
you're
have a
like
ferry that
a
goes to
city.
Manhattan. Yeah.
But it's a suburb because Manhattan exists.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
It's
Yes.
intense.
It's a very big area that we live in. And so yeah. So anyway, that was a cool. I did a trivia night. I came in third. I had an awkward situation.
That's
It was great. Yeah, it was good.
Yeah,
Except
you hit
for,
all
like,
the basics. Did you
the
have a margarita?
debilitating. What?
Did you have a margarita?
No, I was not feeling well enough. Oh no,
Oh.
that night I did. I had a blackberry margarita.
Oh.
Yeah, that's my
Ooh.
new thing. I love a good spicy pineapple margarita, but
Right.
I'm into the blackberry now.
I never even heard of a blackberry
Oh, it's
margarita.
goddamn good. Yeah, it's worth trying.
Blackberry, whatever liqueur they use to make blackberry is good, because I had a blackberry old fashioned, I want to say,
Ooh.
at Keeneland 2 years ago. And then when I went back this past year, they had no idea what I was talking about. And I was like, it had a blackberry. And I have a picture of it on my Instagram. Do you want to see? They're like, no. Okay, no problem.
They don't want to see your Instagram. Do you want to also follow it? Thanks.
Yeah, do you want to? I look at these. I'll put a picture of your drink on there. Just they had no idea. So, but it was good as hell. I grew up picking blackberries.
Oh, I love it. Blackberries are my favorite. Then raspberries are my second favorite.
Mm.
And then I like raspberries, but I mean strawberries. But I love passion fruit flavored anything, like anything.
That's so funny. I one of the many messages I've not yet responded to today was a friend sending me a message with a reel, and it said, "Oh my God, I love passion fruit," and I chuckled, and then I closed it because I had such a busy morning. It's such a busy morning, but it's all good.
It's okay. I didn't
I
sleep
don't really
last
love
night.
passion fruit, but I do think
Passion
it's
fruit's
funny
awesome.
that it's like constantly in use on Great British Baking Show.
Is it really?
Yeah, they use passion fruit so much. It's like it must be a national compulsion or something. Like it's
I don't
bright
know.
yellow, and they go, "Oh, this is lightening up my day."
I guess, but like when you pair it with chocolate, or you put it in like a margarita or like a daiquiri, oh my God, it's so good. When it hits your lips, it's just right.
Hits the lips.
I know. Well, but I will say, so we haven't talked about this yet, but when I was getting sick, I went to this IA show in Pennsylvania with my kids, and it was cold. It was raining. I was fine. I had my red and gold coveralls. Everything was fine. But I started feeling sick there, and I was like, oh, this is the worst. Like, no one ever wants to feel sick when you're at a barn, especially when it's an IAA show. But it was really cool because I got to watch my kids ride all these horses. And you know what I find myself doing? I don't know if you do this. I know for a fact you probably do this. When you're watching other people ride horses they've never ridden before, do you sit there and you go, I would have totally opened up that outside rein and given that shoulder some movement? Like, do you ever sit there? Like,
Absolutely.
I sit there and I think, like, oh, I could ride this horse so much better.
I sat and watched a TV show and did that the other night. It was really satisfying.
It's so wonderful.
I probably would have fallen off in real life, but I mean, it felt great to armchair ride that horse.
Hey, listen, knowing what you should do and actually doing it are two very different things.
Oh my God, I'm so happy you said that. Last night I was riding.
Did I trigger that?
I wanted to share this with you anyway, because last night I was riding and I was working very specifically on helping Ben move forward, because I realized he's been making me nervous and I've been holding him back. And I realized that because my husband took some video and it was like, oh no, that's not good. So I said, all right, I'm going to go out and I'm going to like push this energy into my hand and I'm going to let him be up and light in the front and we're going to work through this. And as I'm going to do a canter depart, and he does this thing where he's like, hollow, freak out before canter depart. And so he started to do it and I just put my leg on and he went forward, met the bit and stepped into the canter. And I said out loud, oh my God, it's not about resistance to the hand. It's just about leg. And then I was like, thanks for playing for 30 years, Natalie. Like, where have you been? I have these vocal epiphanies about the most basic of writing things.
It's one of those things, like, sometimes it just clicks, and
Yeah.
you can always hear the solution to every problem is add more leg, but then sometimes you don't put that into reality
Yeah.
until finally you feel confident enough to do it. 'Cause,
Exactly.
you know, he's been spooky in the past.
Yeah, he's been something else the past couple weeks, let me tell you. Like for
Has
a
he?
month or two, he's been putting me through it. And I was using too much hand because he was scaring me when I used more leg. End of story. And so I finally, I looked, like I said, I looked at the tape and the tape said, you look ridiculous right now. And I was like, okay, tape, my bad. He must feel different than what is actually happening. And so I went with it and it was great. And I think every horse, maybe when you ride single horses like we do, as opposed to riding 4 horses a day or something, I think every time you ride a new horse, you relearn these concepts because
Yes.
they feel different for every body. And
Well, and
every
every horse is like a different tick or different personality or different aids. And
right.
sometimes, and I think this is why, so like I grew up like you did riding a lot of different horses. I didn't have my own horse until I was a lot older. And I realized as I get older, I am so comfortable with my horse that it's too comfortable, right? So like when I
Yeah.
went to Iceland, I had like my old training kind of kick back in and I had to learn the horse within 5 minutes and figure out, oh, no, I have to put my hands here. Otherwise they play with the bit. I have to do this. I have to add this leg. I have to do this. And I found like I was telling my daughters because they were getting frustrated. You know, my one daughter got a little pony when she likes big horses and the other girl got a big horse when she likes ponies. Like, this is the beauty of what you guys are doing. Like, you didn't know how to half seat the canter until the last horse you rode because he had such a big stride. You figured it out. It clicked. Like, that's the great thing about it.
Yeah. Yeah. A lesson that didn't come through with the last horse or the horse before that. And
Right.
suddenly it makes sense.
Suddenly it just makes sense. And then you can apply that to all the other horses you ride.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like you might not need to half seat the canter on X horse, but you have that in your back pocket if you need it.
Right. Yeah, that's such a big piece of it is the muscle memory clicking in, like we've talked about before, where it's great to have the intellectual understanding of something. But that moment when you do it and it gives you the desired result and you go, oh, damn, that's the thing.
You
And
know,
I
for
will
me,
forget. That's the other,
yeah, well, you will forget. Well, I mean, please. So I, for the longest time, I'm a nervous rider, right? So if I get into a situation where I get nervous, I tend to lean forward a little bit, drop my shoulders, and like use more rein.
Mhm.
But over the years, I've really had to learn that less rein means a more calm horse, right? So in that situation, I have to actually do the opposite of what my instinct is telling me. One time, my trainer, I wasn't getting it. So my trainer made me tied my reins and made me drop them. And we were in an enclosed indoor, but she's like, I need you to just like focus on your seat a little bit because you are just focusing so much on your upper body. And it's funny because I see that now when I'm watching all these kids ride around on these horses they don't know. Their first instinct is to grip so tight on the reins. But on the kids that don't, the kids that actually give their horses some room to move, the horses are better behaved and they actually move beautifully. And I was like, I really had to learn that the hard way.
Yeah. I've been going through that. I ride with long reins and so they end up in my seat. And so it's something I'm giving myself grace with this year to like keep trying to put your hands forward, keep trying, keep trying, keep trying. And I really felt like I did a great job at it last night. And the funny thing is I can't use a neck strap to like hook my pinkies into, it's what people say to do. It was my initial inclination because I used to do it on racehorses. Every time I put a neck strap on Ben, I guess it's the shape of his neck and his wither. It ends up like my arms would be completely straight if I were gripping the neck strap without pulling back on his chest. Like it falls so far forward on his neck. It's hilarious.
Well, what about, and this is something that I did for my own children, but like rubber reins, with the color blocks. So you can see and keep your hands on a color and know.
Yeah. Well, I use, and I love the pastel ones. I think they're so pretty. I use web reins, with leather stops. And I do know my stops and I do know where my hands sit. I just let them slip. I have really light ring fingers and I just let them slide. And then I gotta reel them back in and then the head goes up and then so it's also a question of keeping my ring finger tight.
There is that. But, you don't want to keep it too tight because then your horse feels the tension. And then they're wondering if you're asking for something.
Yeah. Every day is like trying to fry the perfect egg. I just want the yolk just a little, but not too cooked. It shouldn't just...
Why do you always come up with these egg analogies? Are you hungry right now?
Starving. I ate my emergency granola bar on the way back from the post office because it was like 12:27. And I was like, I've got 3 minutes to get home and figure out my bike.
My stomach has that like hard knot in it that's like sitting there.
Yeah.
So I'm not doing great. But
you need whiskey.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. I would get on Instacart and have a bottle of Jameson delivered pronto.
Well, I'm actually headed to Philly as soon as I pick up my daughter. So I'm going to get off the phone with you, pick up my daughter, and then head to Philadelphia for my last event of the year.
Oh, God.
So maybe I'll, I have no choice.
Just a little sip. It won't make you drunk, but it will ease your stomach pain. I promise.
All right. I will consider that because right now I'm going to, I'm having a soda for the first time today and sipping the bubbles. So it's like helping me like get rid of any gas. But, not to digress, but so for one thing that I've always struggled with is my leg. So I have a very pokey horse and a pokey pony. You need a lot of leg and you need to use your leg consistently, right?
Yeah.
So you'd think after 5 years with this pony, my leg would be stronger. It's not. But what I did figure out finally was the heels down situation.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
So you're Mongolian, so you don't put your heels down, is what I'm
saying. Right. Well, that's the thing. So I always thought it was my hamstrings being so tight and like why? And no, it wasn't. So when I finally figured out what the solution was, I'm able to keep my legs stiller on my pony and I don't lose my body. Because like I would used to like lose my everything when I started trotting. And it was because I had to add so much leg, right? So my hips were always so tight. And the heels down, I was talking to a physical therapist that works with equestrians. And if I open up my hips the way they should be, then my leg naturally falls and opens and that releases the knee. Because I always gripped at the knee. That was my issue.
I know the feeling that you're talking about.
Right? And so if I focus less on putting my heels down and I focus more on opening and stretching my hips, like if I get on and I start doing stretches and all that, and I open up my hips, then my heel naturally just falls.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's like that. It's like, it seems counterintuitive to say, I can't keep my heel down. I can't keep my heel down. Lengthen your stroke. Well, how's that going to help? It helps.
And
that's what it's doing, right? It's helping you stretch your hip out. I've been getting on really similarly in the same place. I've been getting on.
Are we twins?
And like just doing a lot of standing in the stirrup and digging my heel all the way down. And every time I feel like, oh, my leg maybe isn't stretched down, I'm standing up again. And I can feel that moment where it's locked. And I'm like, oh, my heel's down. And then I go, no, I'm holding it. It's not down. And I do release everything from the hip down. And it just goes so deep. It's almost frightening. Like, oh, We are really twinning hard this winter.
Yeah, that is also because, I'm always trying to be like you.
Mm-hmm,
No, I haven't had time to ride
sure, there's that.
because, I was sick and I'm canceling all these appointments for these events and whatever for lessons. But I did sign up for Ride IQ. So I did start kind of like downloading different exercises and things that I could use at the barn in anticipation of being able to use it.
That's exciting. I'm anxious to hear who you click with the best because I click really hard with Kyle Carter's lessons.
Okay.
And I hadn't used his lessons for a few weeks. And then I did last night when I was having my moment. And I feel like consistently I have breakthrough moments when I am listening to Kyle. Even if I'm not doing exactly what he's saying, just he's talking while I'm working away on my own thing. And he'll say something and then I'll give it a little try a few minutes later and go, oh my gosh, like there's something about the way that man holds his hands and explains it that makes sense to me.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll have to let you guys know because, I love riding with my trainer and she's awesome. And she teaches me the way I like to be taught, which is I need to be the best rider for my horse. And so she kind of tells me to, if you do this, this is how he's going to move his body. So she's not so focused on my position, but she's more focused on kind of like how I'm working the horse, which
Mm-hmm.
is always my goal is for him to move biomechanically correctly. And so I'm interested to see kind of what lessons pop up and who I find is most effective because Ferris can be a little funky.
Right. Yeah. That's why I think a lot of times it's great to have it running. And you might find that you have to do something completely different, but you can kind of catch up with it while they're still talking, and they kind of just put you in a working format. It's almost like sometimes like a lesson is going on in the ring, but it's not your lesson.
Right. Oh, I
And
love when that
so,
happens.
yeah, and you just kind of tune in and go, oh, I'm going to try that over here, even though I'm not paying for this,
My
Some of
favorite is
them
when
are
I
more like
happen
that.
to go in at the same time as a group of
Yeah.
students.
Crazy timing. Oh my God.
So weird.
We're like at the same level. Weird.
Yeah, I'm just not jumping 3 foot, but I'll do the flat work with you.
Yeah.
I take what I want and then I just walk out of the arena.
But yeah, when you couple it with an in-person lesson every now and then, it's so cool because like I need a little help right now. I feel like I need a little bit of help, like loosening, Ben's shoulder. And I don't know how much of that is related to me, like riding with way too much rain. So we'll see over the next few days if that improves. But I look forward to having an in-person lesson to kind of take everything that I practice every day and get some eyeballs on it as well.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. It's so nice to have like another set of eyes periodically. Just someone like the video is a perfect example.
Huge, yeah.
Yeah, and I will say I've tried that. Like I'll take the Pivo, and the whole idea was I would take the Pivo camera and use it to film my rides, not to post anything on social media because no one needs to see that, but to like see myself and to improve. And then of course I lost the Pivo. I don't know where it is. It's not charged, or I'd go in the arena on a day where there's no one there and there's like 5 people, and so obviously it's not going to track me. It's going to track 5 other people. So I'm best laid plans, but periodically my trainer will actually take out her phone and videotape me while I'm not looking. And I love that because then I can look back and see.
Yeah. I think what I'm going to do is find a spot in my ring because I set up a dressage sort of arena. Cut down a tree. I took a tape measure out to the area where I wanted to ride, and I said, okay, I'm going to measure 20 by whatever I can get, either 40 or 60 meters. And I got 40 meters long. Great. I marked those corners. I had to move some fence to do it, but it's done. And then I got 20 meters at the other end, and there was a tree right at 20 meters. There was a dead tree. And I was like, son of a. So I texted my husband. He was in the house working. I'm like, look, I'm right at 20 meters and there's a freaking tree. And he texts back, And so I go back to the other end. I'm messing with the fence. And I turn around and he's out there with a chainsaw. He came like right out. to chop down this dead tree.
How does someone find a quarry? Like, I was because my husband would be like, "Oh, too bad, so sad. See you later."
Bookstores. And yeah, so he came out and it turned into a 2-person job to cut down this tree. It's not a small tree. It's down now, and I still got to ride in the evening, which was extraordinary. Um, yeah. So anyway, so now I actually can see a 20-meter circle, which is super helpful. So I'm gonna set my camera on a fence post leaned against one of my insulators, which means turning off the electric fence before I do this. And then
Smart.
I can go over, I can set it down, I can set it to tape while I go do a 20-meter circle or 3, and then look at that specific part of my ride, because I know I don't want a pivo going for 45 minutes. When am I gonna look at 45 minutes worth of footage? It's just never gonna happen.
No, it's never gonna happen.
And so I'm just gonna like set up some time, go, okay, I'm gonna watch this circle, I'm gonna do some transitions and see what's going on. I might look at 3 minutes of footage, but not 45. The other thing I did, I'm being very talkative, is I compared what I was doing in the video he took to my tempo analysis on Equilab. And that gave me a really good understanding of where his trot was before, where he was cantering, where he trotted afterwards, which was like much higher, and then what I took him down to, which was ridiculously low. So I could kind of figure out, where does my tempo need to be and what am I working towards? So I really like that analysis feature, and that's on the free version of Equilab.
Yeah, I love Equilab. I don't remember to use it as much as I probably should, but and my biggest pet peeve with them is they always have me riding 50 feet off into the woods as opposed to the arena, which is fine, but whatever. God forbid I ever use it for safety tracking.
Well, just mark on your profile, like, look 50 yards away.
Yeah. And then the other thing is, like, I ride a pony. So I could work on canter and walk, and that's all I do, and it'll still mark it as a trot.
Really?
So, oh my God.
I didn't know
because he's
that.
short-strided. And so it drives me crazy. Like, I'll look at it and I'll say, "Oh, you did 1 minute of canter." I was like, "All we did was canter. Are you serious?" And then so it looks like I'm like afraid to canter, which I actually prefer his canter to his trot, if we're going to be completely honest. And I mostly canter him and then I trot after because the canter. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Did I never tell you this?
I think you have, but when do I absorb things?
That's true. So I'll repeat it for the people in the back.
Yeah.
So, and this is something that I use even, I put in my book, The Body Conditioning for Horse and Rider. But what I found is because the canter is a stretch, the canter opens up everything. It gets them to push off their hind. It gets them to open up their shoulders. It gets them, really to move forward. And so for a pokey horse like mine or a stiffer horse like mine, I canter first. I get them to open it up. I get them to stretch out. I get them warmed up for, in a really nice way. So they're open. And then I ask them to bring it back into a more modulated trot, but it's still they're thinking forward. So you don't have so much of that sucking back behind the leg or anything like that. It is a wonderful exercise to do if you have a slower horse or if you have a horse that's a little stiffer.
Yeah. I don't know.
You don't have a slow horse, though.
I don't have a slow horse. I can't understand why I don't have a slow horse. I have a middle-aged quarter horse. Should be slow.
Yeah, I mean, quarter horses are race horses, though. So let's be honest.
Yeah,
they're a little spicy.
I think it has something to do with he's a very late geld, so he's got a lot of testosterone. He's a strong-willed horse who knows how to take care of himself. So I think it's all built into his personality. This layer of I'll handle it.
I mean, I have a thoroughbred, and to get him to move forward, we've had to growl. We've had to take a branch off a tree and wave the leaves in his face. You know what I mean? So just because you have a thoroughbred doesn't mean they're going to be forward thinking. Just because you have a quarter horse doesn't mean they're going to be chill. So trust me, I've met a lot of Hancock bred horses. They are not chill.
Yeah. Yeah, I wish I knew. But yeah, he's definitely not chill, so there could be something there.
No, but it is a good
tip.
What's
My
that?
first horse was a quarter horse, and he was a kick-on hunter. Come on. Lumber.
See, I love that.
Yeah.
Because I have like the short and quick. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, we've gotten Ferris, he's a little bit out of work right now, but we've gotten him to like that really nice huntery canter again. Where before he was moving in two different directions, looking like two different horses.
Right.
One side he was really hollow, the other side he looked really good.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's funny. Now this is his time because he hates the summer just like I do. So this is the time where I don't need as much leg. It's
Yeah,
wonderful.
I'm trying to lean into that too with the whole like let me use this energy for good.
Yes.
And one thing that I do want to try, and you might have an opinion on this, is so he's a round boy and he's quite fit now in the center, but he still wants to fall on his forehand at the canter. And I was thinking I wanted to try letting him canter on a much looser rein and finding his own position. Because right now he wants to lean really hard on me. And so I thought, should I sit back and try to get him on his hind end, or should I give him some space to try to work it out on his own? I'm not really sure which one is.
Do you ever lunge
both.
him?
Hmm?
Do you ever lunge him at the canter?
I do lunge him at the canter.
How is he like that?
He moves beautifully on the lunge.
So he
moves like a hunter on the lunge.
Okay, so it's probably your balance then that's affecting it. So yeah, I would play with that a little bit and see. I mean, usually if I have a horse that's on the forehand in the canter, I do a lot of transitions. Yeah. So we'll canter 5 steps or 5 strides, then I will trot them 10 strides and just get them to back. And then I might roll back and then do that. I do a lot of rollbacks when they are on their forehand because it gets them thinking back and then pushing off. So like I'll roll back at the walk and then immediately into the canter, and we take those beautiful couple of strides of canter. And then when I start to feel them lean forward, we come down to the trot, we roll back at the walk, and so they kind of get that idea where back is better. But yeah, you might have to give more rein, because what happens is people think that the uphill comes from the rein contact, but it doesn't. It comes from you sitting back and letting them kind of find that balance. And so you might need to play with the rein length a little bit and give him a chance to fail almost.
Yeah.
Where he's kind of almost stumbling or tripping, or maybe even in my pony's case, he will like race forward. Right. Until he realizes, oh, that's not sustainable. And then he kind of comes back.
I think that's all a good combination. I like the sound of that. It falls in with doing all the transitions is going to make him a pogo stick. But on the other hand, I'm trying to lean into that. So, right, like that's building up all that energy is kind of what I said I'm going to do. So I'm not going to worry too much about rubbing my hands for so much friction. I'm just going to let him do it and move in front of me with all that energy and not freak out about it.
Yeah, and when you get worried, just circle him.
Yeah.
I mean, that's your best friend, and then just get him to disengage that hind end a little bit, so he's kind of circling. He can't think forward so much, and spirals are your friends. Start big and then spiral down if he gets faster, and then open the spiral back up. If he's getting too forward. But for me, I don't like to drill my pony. I'm really careful about his joints, especially because he's neurological. So if I'm doing rollbacks and things like that, I'm never just going up and down the same side or at the same tempo. I'm, okay, I'm going to do the short side of the ring now, and I'm going to change direction. Now we're going to have a nice canter down the long side. Then we're going to walk the next. So I kind of always changing things up so he doesn't anticipate what I'm doing, because my pony, if he anticipates me, he's already onto the next thing, so he could be done.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, and you know what I was thinking about doing, because that is how I started training Ben in the first place, like years ago, was, he needs to do something different every 5 strides. There are tons of dressage test ride-throughs from different countries on Ride IQ.
Ooh.
And so I was thinking, like, because you don't have to do exactly what they say, right? So if it says do a canter pirouette, you'd be like, well, I'm probably just going to do a 10-meter circle. But it would give you pretty consistently every 5 to 10 strides, it would give you a different movement.
Yes.
You're not going to anticipate what the Australian test is telling you to do. Like, it's just
No, I actually have these little books of just mini dressage tests for the year, and they give you like the novice introductory
Sure.
level or whatever. And so I have them as like little pocket notes,
Mhm.
but I love the idea of doing it because it's like your trainer calling out, okay, now we're going to do this. Now
Yeah.
we're going to do this.
Yeah.
So that's why I like the idea of dressage. I also like the idea of riding to music, I'll be honest.
I love riding to music.
Me too.
I definitely find like it helps me to hear something because I get lost. Like I won't know what to do next. I'll be like, okay, we're going to do a 20-meter circle and now we're changing rein and now, oh my God, what do I do next? And that's when it falls apart because I'm not looking 5 strides ahead anymore. I'm looking right ahead of me and we're just trotting.
Right, when in doubt, just trot it out.
Pretty much. I really need direction all the time. I should be babysat.
You should be
I
babysat.
should be. I can't be trusted on my own.
We're going to put Corey in charge of you.
Oh, man.
He's been training his whole life for this, okay?
Really?
He's ready.
He's already basically in charge of me. It's like, dinner's on the table.
Oh, yeah.
I'm the
No, I think
clueless
that's...
husband.
Oh, please.
It's me.
My husband came back from being away for a week. And in that week, my teenager had 3 major meltdowns. And this is the one with mental health issues. So that's always a bit freaky.
Mm-hmm.
We were able to weather them all. Everything happened. Everything was good. And then I got sick. One of my other kids got a head cold, thankfully not COVID. So it was but it was actually peaceful. Like it was calm. It was beautiful. It was lovely. And then he flies in on the red eye. And it's like this whirlwind just through the door. I'm like, he's back.
Oh, my Lord.
It's going to be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I was up all night feeling sick, and I kept waking up to him with his like hand in a fist like around my pillow. So every time I would like flip over, I'd like punch myself into his fist, which should not be on my side of the bed, by the way.
God.
And then I had to elbow him because he was like trying to cuddle me, and I was like, dude, I am not in a place to be cuddled, like at all. I'm going to vomit on you right now.
I established really early in a relationship that I sleep alone.
Yes.
I have my side of the bed.
Starfish.
No touching.
No touching.
No touching.
Cuddle time is for cuddle time.
Dude. I'm a light sleeper. Your body temp is way too high. Keep it on your side.
I like sleeping cold, and I like wrap myself in my little cocoon. So the second he comes in, I'm like, oh my God, it's so hot in here. I'm like throwing covers everywhere. But yeah, no, he's like, you're mean when you sleep. I'm like, I mean all the time. It's just more apparent when I'm sleeping. Thank you.
That's the only time you're really like shoved together for 6 or 7 hours. It's the time you can have some space.
Neither one of us are ever allowed to retire. We'll murder each other. You'll find both of our bodies in the woods somewhere, 50 meters to the left.
We had trouble when I started working from home, even before COVID, because he was already working from home. And then I guess it was after one of my many corporate layoffs that I was working more from home, and he started getting testy with me, and I was like, "Look, buddy, I didn't choose this, but this is what we've got." He's like, okay.
It's cute when they get uppity.
He's like, I guess I'm just not used to having home.
You're going to want to bop him on the nose like a bad dog.
It's like, you got to cope. This is what we have.
Oh my God. So speaking of naughty boys, I did, not to change, we're going back and forth between horse stuff. I did a Christmas card photo shoot with my horses. Now, mind you, I don't send Christmas cards. They're for social media only. Okay. And everyone's like, oh, did you get pictures with your kids? I'm like, no, my horses. Like, is that weird?
I mean, I don't send people pictures of I stopped taking pictures of my kid for other people to see after he turned like 10.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like I love my kids, but like
it's not something I share with people. He's his own person. Yeah. If he wants to send a picture out, he can.
I mean, like the pictures, like the holiday pictures were for me. Like they weren't for, and I love my kids, but they don't want to take pictures with the horse. They don't want to take pictures at all. So, but it was funny because, so I had Jessie come out. She's one of my clients, and she's been doing some of like our holiday stuff for years and some of my other photo shoots. And So she knows my horses really well. She was there for the day that Ferris decided to buck and then kick Delight in the sternum and like put a hoof print in his like lung.
Lovely.
But it was really funny because we dressed them up in like little Santa outfits. And the difference between the two, the horse and the pony, was ridiculous. And I cannot stress this enough. The pony's the problem. Like, everybody thinks I have this wild thoroughbred. He's so aggressive. He's unrideable. He's a problem. He is not the problem. He is an angel. He's just a big brute. The pony is diabolical. He will literally plan your murder. Oh my God. So
genetic pony or just a size pony?
No, he's a Welsh cob mixed with thoroughbred.
Oh, okay.
So some days you get the thoroughbred,
right,
and then some days you end up on the ground. Right? And I say this because everyone on my social media is always like, oh, he's so cute. Yeah, he is cute, Sally. He is cute, and he knows it, okay? But he also, when he feels cute, you're going to end up being in a situation you don't want to be in. And so he was so hard to take photos of. I'm surprised any came out, but they're so flipping cute. And then I take Delight out, and I was like, okay, Delight needs his rope halter, but I put the leather one on. He was like, oh, it's game on. I have freedom now. So he was like trying to say, grass. I'm like, no, we're not doing grass. Like, you know.
Yeah.
So if anyone ever takes pictures with their horses and asks them to stand still to pose, I would love to hear the stories. Like, I would love to hear the stories because it can't just be me. Because my boys are actually trick trained. Like, they're very good.
Right.
But they were annoying as shit.
I have a picture of a horse I was trying to sell. And the horses, I don't know what the horse is looking at. Nothing. Like, he's got his eyes crossed for all I know. But you can see in the picture a hat flying through the air that Corey threw to try to get his attention. It's like ears and like 6 feet up, there's this hat just sailing through the air. You're not looking at it. You don't care.
We even got like a carrot out, and the second Ferris saw the carrot, he was like, well, I'm not looking at the carrot. Like, clearly I'm going to run for the carrot. So like she's like holding the camera and a carrot, and he's like barreling at her. And I was like holding him back.
A photographer told me once that the key is have horse whinny sounds on your phone.
Yes.
Yeah. Because they go, who's that?
Yeah. And I have to really be thankful for my barn mate. So I have this woman who came to my barn. She's got a couple thoroughbreds, and they're best friends with my guys because they're in the next paddock over, and they just run and play all day long together. She ended up during our photo shoot, when we were trying to get them to stand still, bringing her horses in. So she brought one in. And so, of course, my boys were like, ooh, who's that? What are they doing? And then while her other one was running around like an absolute fucking lunatic. So that kept their attention.
Yeah.
And then she brought the other one in. So like we ended up getting a couple good shots, but I don't think we would have done it if she didn't do that at that time.
Yeah. So if you're going to do a horse photo shoot, here are some helpful tips. Ask someone to lunge their very spicy horse nearby. Have someone drive a horse trailer by. Just drive the horse trailer by. That always gets attention.
That's a good one.
Yeah. Lead somebody out of the barn, pause, and lead them back in the barn. Horse goes, what the hell's going on there?
And don't go near grass because you will never have a head up in the photo.
No.
And even winter grass, because, you know, my boys are in a dry lot because of Ferris's Cushing. So Delight's like, oh my God, it's green. It's like dead, but it's green. Like, I'm going to do it. So yeah, he was pretty cute and excited about it. But
I'd like a photo shoot. Somebody should come and take photos of me and Ben.
Oh my God, you should. Well, and it's something that I like to do pretty regularly because when I'm at the barn, I never remember to pull out my camera, or I just do quick little selfies because I'm really focused on the horses when I'm there. I'm not like focusing on getting content or anything like that. And part of the reason why I don't videotape my rides either, like I'm not focusing on what I'm going to put on social media. Like that's not how I live my life. Probably also why I don't have millions of followers because I'm sure it'd be hilarious. But I do. I like to have photographers come out like a couple times a year and just get pictures of me with the horses because they're memories that I'll never get back. And it's been like a whole big dream of me. So I want to document it.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds really nice. It is funny to me. Um, some people they'll have an Instagram account, right? And their husband will be really good at like playing along and doing photos with them, and mine has never caught on. All he does, he knows, and I don't really blog about food or theme parks or things like that anymore. But when I did, he learned really quickly camera eats first rule, right? Like, move your hands, don't touch the food, let's take a picture. Because they need that. And he still does that, which is funny. But I would think he would just every now and then come out and take a picture. And he just walks on by.
I think you
So
had
the
to
other
ask
day,
him.
I handed him my phone. I was like, come over here. Come over here.
Yeah, I think you have to ask. Like, I even told my trainer, like, she was mentioning how she likes to take videos and photos when her students aren't paying attention, because then
Yeah.
they tense up and they get all self-conscious, and
Right.
I know I do. And the best photos and videos I have from her are when I don't know what's happening. But she also doesn't do it very often. So I don't have that much content of me riding. But yeah, it's one of those things where it would be nice to have like your own personal photographer, wouldn't it?
Yeah, or just, and it would be if they knew how much money they'd save on like buying all the candids at a show and stuff like that. If they would just walk out, take a photo, and walk back in the house, you wouldn't have to spend $500 at a horse show on all those photos. You'd be like, oh no, I have cute ones at home. I'm good.
You'd still buy the show photos. Who are you kidding?
I don't know. I never have, but I'm going to.
Well, we had an incident. So this is like a very fine point for me as a photographer. Well, I wouldn't officially call myself a photographer, but somebody who has been a photographer. We had our barn do like a big horse show, and they were picking their photos. And one of the people was like, "Oh, Heather, help me pick out which one I want. What's the best one?" And so they're picking that out. They could only afford one. And as they were doing this, we see that another barnmate has taken a screenshot of the photos and posted them as if she bought them, which is illegal.
Yeah.
So, like, if people don't know this, that is completely illegal. That is copyright infringement. That is not yours. You did not pay for them. And that's something that used to happen to me all the time. And one of the reasons I stopped taking photos, because it was so frustrating.
The photographer that does the events here in the Ocala area has like a hilarious watermark on all of her photos that says like, if you see this with the watermark, this is stolen property and you are being reported like to the FBI. Like, I don't know. It's so great.
Nice. Good.
And she does incredible. She'll do candids of you. Because there's some of me out there helping other people that are quite funny. And you can buy all of your photos for like a package price before the event. And then I guess she'll take more of you or something, and you'll walk out with like 200 photos from horse trials.
Hey, that's great.
But that way she's not wasting her time.
Well, that's the thing. It's hard. And then you're editing the photos and you're hoping, some of the people will buy them, and you're never going to make all the money back. It's a hard job, and it's hard to get photos of everybody, right?
Yeah.
But if you're the show photographer, that is literally how they're making their money. And so you're stealing from them and you're not giving them credit. So it's like a double fuck you. So her mother called her immediately and was like, "You better take that post down. Like, that is not okay." And the daughter like fired back at her, like, "What? Everybody does it. That does not mean it's legal or okay." So it just that's like the dark side of photography that people don't. Because if you were to write a chapter and someone were to take that chapter and put their name on it, it's stealing.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's plagiarism. It's stealing. It's the same with the photography. But we're in this world of social media where everyone thinks that like, oh, because you can share a meme is, that if it's online, it's yours. That's not the same as sharing someone's post.
And the thing is that the whole meme sharing and stuff became normalized, but there were copyright concerns about that stuff for a really long time that have just kind of vanished. Like when I first went into corporate social media, we were really careful about what properties we, if there was something great that was a meme, but we weren't sure what the legality of the IP in it was. That didn't go on my Twitter account. That didn't go on my Facebook page. Like, I wasn't getting my corporation embroiled into some sort of copyright dispute. And it seems to have gone by the wayside. People think public means public, you know. If I
Right.
saw it, it's free.
Well, and the fact that like people think that they can videotape somebody in public without their consent is just unbelievable.
Yeah. Yeah. The thing about the horse show photography that is probably missed, like the finer point, is that you did, you signed off on somebody
Correct.
taking your likeness. And you can't say, well, it's my picture, it belongs to me. No, you signed a waiver. It's in your show registration, and it says that somebody can take your picture and it's not yours.
Yeah, even when I go to Iceland, we have it, and when I was in Mongolia, we had people sign a photography waiver saying that we were allowed to take their photos and use it for social media and that they could purchase them if they wanted.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not a monster, so I was like, you paid all this money to go to this event, you can use these photos, but you've got to give credit to the photographer.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So like, I put in that provision. But yeah, I mean, it's an interesting little world out there, but yeah, I don't know. The world's scary. I don't want to go outside anymore. Like, I don't like being sick.
You've been doing so much stuff. You're ready to cocoon.
Yes, I am ready. It's coming into hibernation season soon.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited.
You should be just about there.
I am almost there. This is my last event of the year, and I'm not traveling anymore until our Horse Lovers cruise in February.
Yeah, same here. Nothing on my plate until Horse Lovers cruise. Nothing that involves traveling further than my parents' house anyway, so.
It's perfect. We'll be all primed and ready to go.
Yeah.
Save up our energy for that.
I'm going to continue working on my anti-tan, which is what I was like, wow, I'm going into winter, I'm covering up, and I covered up all year, so I have tanned exactly none this year. Good for me.
I don't tan either. So, you're in good company.
Mm-hmm.
I just...
I feel very healthy.
Yeah. Well, today, before we go, which we're going to have to go in a second, but before we go, I guess this is an adulting win. So I'm going to do a really weird adulting win today.
Okay.
So I had a dentist appointment as a checkup, and I'm old, I guess, because for the first time ever, they checked me for oral cancer lesions.
Oh, I've been checked for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No lesions. That's my adulting win. I don't have cancer.
They use that little purple light. Yeah.
Yep.
I remember them offering me that when I had the really good insurance. So I think it might have something to do with your insurance, not your age. Because they don't offer it anymore.
Well, all I can say is # not dying. So I feel like I'm dying this week, but apparently I'm not. Not of cancer anyway. Just severe dehydration.
Yeah. Yeah. Adulting when you survived a stomach bug.
So far. So we'll see. Because I now have to go to work. But how about you? What was your adulting win?
I'm being crazy positive about everything. I'm being super horribly positive. And good things are happening. And I feel really psyched. And so I'm just like in a really good mental state, like blindingly good mental state. And so everything's a win for me, baby.
Ooh, okay.
I'm embracing the woo.
You're embracing the woo. I feel like we've shifted personalities a little bit this week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've shifted.
Not the worst thing that's ever happened. I'm going to give you some of my woo.
All right, well, good luck being me.
I might need it. I don't know if I can maintain the energy, but we'll try.
Thank you for being a little weird with us, Horse Girl. If you like what you hear, make sure to subscribe to our podcast on your player of choice. Follow us on Instagram at Adulting with Horses Podcast, or even better, join our Adulting with Horses Clubhouse on Facebook, where you can become part of the show. Also, it's a great place to meet other horse crazy women.